How much impact do you think a mother can have on her child's life? Not just today, but for generations to come. Welcome everyone to our special live show, The Difference a Mother Makes. Today, we're talking about the influence, sacrifices, strength, and the unseen ways moms shape the future. This show is to celebrate you and to be reminded of just how important your role is in the lives of your children. So whether you're a new mom, seasoned mom, single mom, or even here to honor a mother in your life, this show is for you. We'll dive deep into the ways moms shape futures, nurture hearts, and create legacies. So don't miss this chance to be inspired, uplifted, and reminded of the profound role you play that makes a profound difference in your children's lives. We're thrilled you're joining us because we have something truly powerful lined up. It's my honor to introduce the man who will guide us through this incredible conversation. He's a former NFL player, now pastor, author, father, husband, and an amazing speaker who has dedicated his life to sharing the transforming love of God through the power of family. So grab a cup of tea, get comfortable, and let's dive in. Now, let's welcome Pastor Ed McGlasson.
Hey, I promised you that I was going to have just a powerful, amazing woman on here that you do not want to not listen to. And I know I've already got a couple guys jumping in here. Nick Warbershaw, man, I've been trying to get a hold of you. Got people from all over the place, Scandinavia, different places. I'm so grateful. We have Rachele in the house, Rachele Jaegers, and that I got to connect with. We're going to talk about that this past summer, and her amazing husband. And gals, you want to tune in and get a hold of your friends right now, because she's also learned some secrets in their marriage that really blossom their relationship together. Now, not only that, she is an amazing businesswoman. It's got an online a business that she's going to be telling you about and how she did that. So this is going to be a jam-packed show. Need to hang with me for the last 45 minutes. You do not want to miss a single thing. All that to say, I can't wait to now introduce to you my friend, and just so grateful. Welcome, Rachele, to our show.
Hello. Wow. I need you to come on every class I'm about to teach and come give the intro before we're logging in at like 5:36 in the morning and get everyone pumped up. That was beautiful.
Yeah. I'll do the pump up, I'll be hope to every gal you train that their husbands can have a clue. And in fact, when I got saved, the Lord, said to me, Ed, when other men see how you love your wife, it'll be hope for them that they can do it. And I went, is that like a cut? No, I was a pretty just broken dude. And that's my story. Matter of fact, we're going to also talk about this book that I wrote, How to Become the Husband and Father Your Family Needs. She's got one. We passed it through the screen to her and she picked it up. That's the magic of being online. So welcome today, Rachele. It's such an honor to have you here. Why don't you tell everybody your story and how you had to take some steps of faith first in what you do, where you make a living online as a businesswoman?
Okay. Hi, everyone. This is exciting. This has been long awaited. We had to keep rescheduling and shifting due to life. So it's the perfect time. As always, God has the best plan. And my name is Rachele. I live out in the Eastern Sierras of California in the mountains, which is quite ironic because I'm a sun and beach lover, but we ended up here in this beautiful part of the world, married to my amazing husband, Brian, and we have 3 young kids that are not as young. Yes, there they are. We have Emmy, my 11-year-old, Weston, my 9-year-old, and sweet and spicy little Kinley down there in the middle, who is actually homesick today, so she may make an appearance. It's real life. I am a mompreneur. I run an online fitness business going on a decade now. VFit Studio. It is an online live fitness studio, but we've always been so much more than just fitness. We are mind, body, and spirit. I believe in the 4 kingdoms of health, which we can get into a little bit later: mental, spiritual, physical, and emotional health. And so I have been blessed to be put in a position by, again, a lot of faith and just kind of blindly stepping forward into creating this vision that I didn't even realize what it would turn into. I kind of feel selfish. 9.5 years ago, I had 2 little ones at the time, and I was working at the gym. I had gotten into fitness. It had changed my life from one of my darkest moments. Like, I really believe our tests make our testimony. And I was no longer able to get to the gym, my favorite place, community, and I craved that. And so I was personal training clients online, and I said, my husband kept saying, you got to get into group fitness, bring more people, more people. Fast forward, somebody introduced me to Zoom, which now this was 10 years ago, so nobody knew what it was. And I was like, this is it. This is how I can connect people. And I just started this online fitness community where I started teaching classes and inviting people. And lo and behold, now we're going on our 10th year in October. It's grown to so much more than I could have ever dreamed of. And isn't that the way when God kind of leads you and you take action?
That's right.
Just so grateful in the evolution. We have the most amazing community of women across the country. We have a couple men, my dad, one of my trainer's dads, and another, the Papa crew. But it really
only strong men can do that with that much estrogen, that river, that estrogen river you guys live in. You got to be a real man to put on those floaties and jump in. You won't die, man. You won't die.
But it has become like it's just been a amazing, uplifting place to strengthen women. That my whole purpose and mission is self-care, is critical care, and we have so much power and conviction and influence with our family, and it starts again within yourself. And so it's just an honor to be able to even be up here and sharing on this stage too.
I bet you, because you got a lot of gals that are following you and a lot of people doing this. You're meeting girls every day who feel overwhelmed, discouraged, even about their marriages, kind of where the relationships are, probably not in the right fitness for themselves. And just share a little bit about, you mentioned those 4 things of how you've seen these gals change in what you're doing.
So, I mean, too, just being on the front lines, I believe we're on the front lines of healthcare. Anybody out there who is trying to make people stronger and better are on the front lines of healthcare. And so it comes with a big responsibility. And at the same time, as much as yeah, I'm sorry, there's my little one. As much, she's going to be able to get me to say yes to anything right now because she's so being in that position, I've had to actually learn too, like, I can't help someone more than they want it themselves. I can pray for them. I can do everything and put it out there. But at the end of the day, you have to be a willing participant and be willing to take action and get uncomfortable. And so we just try to make it really, again, inviting. There is never judgment. We have such a just uplifting community, meet you where you're at. I think as women, especially, we are not celebrated, especially raising young kids. I always laugh. I teach a 7 a.m. class almost every morning, and then I have to go out and make lunches for my kids. Or I get to go make lunches for my kids. And I said, they don't go out there and thank me, and they're not, you're doing the hard work that you're planting the seeds. You're not always seeing the harvest yet. And so we've made VFit a place of being seen and celebrated and comfortable. And I think as women, we can feel that self-care is selfish and taking away from other people or other things we need to be doing. But as cliche as it sounds, you really can't pour from an empty tank. And to fill yourself, it's not even just the physical. Like, we have members that are going through cancer treatment, that are going through injuries, that have lost loved ones. Like, I mean, we've seen so many really hard things in, over the last decade, and they're still show up maybe just to hear the message or to see the other teammates across the country. And so it's, when I started BFit, thankfully the Lord knows way more than I do. I just kind of wanted to like make some grocery money and have some friends to hang out and work out with. So it's turned into such a bigger mission.
Yeah. You teach something that I believe so much that I've learned in my life. And that is, you can't give away what you've not received.
Yes. And Pastor Mike, where I met at our church, it was when I was kind of like at a, low, and just, we all will get through those highs and lows. But I remember it was a church sermon one day, and he said, we always talk about being the light. And I live my life to be that, but you have to let the light in to be the light. And I think that's so beautiful.
Yeah, that is. And because God's made us in a way, and I teach the men this when, we have our men together, is that if you want to be a great dad, you want to be a great father, you need to be fathered yourself. And one of the most extraordinary benefits of Christ, not only do we get forgiven from our sin, he comes in and breaks the power of those bondages, that brokenness in us. He also promises that he's going to reveal the Father to us. And when we get that peace in our life, and you learn to be fathered yourself as a man or as a woman, then it gives you the capacity to be the mom you need to be, the businesswoman you need to be. Because see, we're grace empowered human beings. We only run well on grace. If I run on the flesh, I'm only going to get what the flesh gives me. It's not good. But when I run on God's grace, I have unlimited resources to do things that I could never do without him. You found that true, right?
Yeah, and I think I learned that lesson all the time. And actually, I'm coaching a women's mentorship right now called Rise, and we talked about that earlier this week. We were going over the emotional scale, and I won't go into all that detail, but it's only at the top of the emotional scale that are the higher emotions: joy. I have it, joy, gratitude, and I really believe it is by surrendering to yourself and giving into faith and spirit is where you get up into those emotional higher emotional vibrations. And so, yeah, it's good way. But we learn, and it's so funny. It's a lesson. I think it's just a lifelong lesson being human. Like, oh, that's right. It's easier if I step aside. And I have to remind myself too, when I get in my head or have something put on my heart by God, that I'm like, was that really for me? Are you calling me to do that? Like, take myself out of it. And this is one thing I've really learned creating this new program that I've been running, is like obedience and patience. Those were not my strong suits. I'm like, let's go. And so learning, I always say ready, fire, and then I aim, which is a good thing. If you're a business person, you've got to take action. A lot of people get stuck in perfection paralysis. That was actually one of my notes I wrote. I think even as women, we get stuck in perfection paralysis, I call it, about it has to be perfect or I'm not going to do it. I hear this all the time. I'm not in good enough shape to start working out, which is not laughable at all. It makes me like, then let us help you. Like, we all need help. So you're not meant to do it alone too. And I, like you said too, God gives us the right people and the right circumstances and the right, if you're aware of those things, all of a sudden the right song or the right person or the right podcast or book, I believe he speaks to us in such incredible ways. And when you kind of get out of that ego self phase, you can hear it more, and it's the best way to be. But you do have to learn that lesson over and over.
Yeah, we do. We learn over and over because our old man, the flesh, still wants to be in control and take a little glory and spike the football. Hey, we had a gal named Sarah who said, when I joined, Rachel's program, I couldn't walk up my stairs in my house. And Rachel met me with empathy, compassion, and support. I now work out every day and crave exercise. Life-changing. That's just so cool. That's it. You come alongside of people and help them do what Christ can help them do.
And yeah, that member, I see her comment. She is amazing. She's actually in my Rise group right now, Sarah, and I don't need to hear her whole story, but she's gone through a transplant. That God has given her some of the biggest tests in life, and she is just resilient and amazing. And yeah, I mean, we have members with stories. You know, we have people coming in that were super fit and healthy, and just life like happened. You know, they had kids, they have a job, they have things going on, and then we have people the spectrum. You know, again, going through debilitating health challenges, people that have let their health go for, you know, I see a lot of people that sacrifice their health for their kids when, and I don't want to say this in a morbid way, but we all say like we would die for our kids, but what does it mean to live for your kids? And I find that really empowering.
Yeah, yeah. I know that one of the motivations for me to start carnivore was, you know, I was praying one day, and carnivore, if you don't know what that is, I eat meat. I love meat. Her husband eats meat. He loves meat. And I don't eat carbs. I just stay away from carbs altogether, and lost, you know, 55 pounds of fat, and I got about 40 to go. But my image was, I said, Lord, show me where I could be if I really brought my diet to you and did what you wanted. And I saw myself officiating at my grandchildren's weddings one day. And it hit me like a ton of bricks. I want to be there. I want to be there for my grandkids when Isla and Ani and, you know, Madeline and, you know, Cocolicious, we call her. And I mean, I have 10 granddaughters and 4 grandsons. I want to be there in that moment. Now, the only way possible is if I can be as fit as I can be, so that I don't eat my way into a broken place. Now, you'd probably deal with that a lot with your, what's some of the keys with the gals that it applies to guys too, but it really help them, you know, really deal with how they're fueling their life with food?
So that's been, Elaine, so on 2 parts. I love the carnivore, and we hear that story too, how you and my husband actually connected over meat, and we ended up spending 4th of July and a whole week with your family at our house. I love that. So when I started VFit, I found exercise and fitness when I was in a really dark place. My husband and I had gotten married, and we were trying to have a family, and I kept having miscarriages, and I felt like my body was failing me, and I was in a job that I wasn't happy with, and I just kind of went down, I think, the rabbit hole that a lot of people can get to, like, poor me, why does everybody else have it so easy? Like, that person sneezed, and I just wasn't getting, just spiraling down. And then one day I just said, okay, you want to do something about it? And so I found fitness, and that's a whole nother story I've shared a few times, but I started to go to the gym with a friend, and then we started to take group fitness classes. And I found a format that I actually still teach today called Willpower and Grace. And it was a whole mind, body, spirit workout. And so it tapped into the emotional part of fitness, which I had never experienced before. I had done sports and all the other things, but I've never found a love of my body, which is where your spirit and soul is housed. It's where your mind is housed. Like, God gave us a body on purpose. We're not just, and it's so intricate and crazy and beautifully made, and its own pharmacy, and I can go on and on. But one thing I was very adamant, and I've walked up an uphill battle in this, and I'll stand, it's my mountain. I won't waver for it, but I believe everybody has to find their own journey with health and nurturing themselves with food. We do talk about food. We do have a nutritionist on staff, but we look at health as like 8 pillars of health. So it's not just food, it's exercise, it's hydration, gratitude, getting your sleep, connecting to others, getting outside. And so when you start to see your body as the temple that it is, a lot of people end up changing their eating habits. And, you know, a lot of that becomes from so when I talk about the kingdoms of health, that's mental, physical, spiritual, and emotional. The food for a lot of people is in that emotional kingdom. And, you know, you found a why that profound, like being there, literally visualizing, like it gave me like at your grandkids' weddings, like that's so much more powerful than fitting in a set pair of jeans or something, right? That will be the side effect of you making changes.
We can fit into them one week and then blow them out another week.
But so anyways, well, where I was going with that is actually at BFit, unlike most, I won't say all, we have never had a weigh-in, or we don't count calories, or we don't food track, or we just, I believe it has to be a journey that you fall in love with for the right reasons, because any coach can get someone to lose weight right away or give you an exact plan, but a really good coach or mentor, it's what are you doing the hours you're not in the gym? How are you living your life? How long we have, I think I started VFit with 10 members back 10 years ago. I think 7 of them are still going strong today. Like we want our people to show up and to be successful. And so, yeah, I do think though, I mean, like it says, I even printed a few Bible verses that I find are really powerful in 1 Corinthians 6:19-20. Do you not know that your bodies are temples of the Holy Spirit, who is in you, whom you have received from God? You are not your own, you were bought at a price. Therefore, honor God with your body.
Wow. That's so good.
Yeah.
See, because you're tapping into a powerful truth. If we've been made in the image and likeness of Christ, and God has given us a body to where when Jesus came, he turned our body from just being our flesh when we receive him to being the temple where the Spirit of God dwells. And so you wouldn't build a church temple, for instance, that was in disrepair. You would want to do the best job you can. And so, but you said something that's really powerful, and I've never heard anybody say it the way you just did. And that is, there's something really powerful when you begin to love the body that God gave you by taking care of it and working out and doing that kind of stuff. That's going to help me even more because, my motivation for years as a professional athlete was I just drove myself into the ground to, be extreme fitness. I mean, I rode my bike from my front door here at the end of football. I wanted to lose weight I actually rode it. I bought a bike. I went to San Francisco by airplane. They dropped me off at the Golden Gate Bridge on a taxi. I rode in 5 days, 565 miles down US 1. And that's me. Okay. I'm crazy, man. And I lost probably 10 pounds. And I started losing all my football weight, but I was so geared into this extreme sport that I don't know that I've really considered, Lord, am I loving the temple you gave me? Or am I just hating my fat and trying to destroy it?
No, it's such a big, and it's also what culture does not put out there freely. Like I listened to a podcast, I think last week, and it said, you cannot hate yourself to healthy. And maybe you can get results on the outside that look, that way. But I think finding, this deep appreciation and love that like you were given this body, and it is such an amazing, intricate, I mean, if you think about just like, to be able to build muscle, to be able to, have healthy blood flow and a brain and all these different things. It is such a different mindset. And that's kind of, I'm grateful. Like I said, it was one of my toughest times in life that was shown to me to, wow, what if you actually love yourself healthy? How different that will look.
Man, that is you know what? We're just going to pray on that just for a second. Okay.
Okay.
So if you're watching right now, I want you to pray with us right now for every one of us, and I'm in this prayer with you, that we would learn how to love ourselves healthy. Go ahead, Rachel.
All right. Dear Lord, and I need this too. I pray for everybody listening, watching the recording, who maybe you share this with a friend or family member. Maybe you hear it through something we're teaching or sharing, and maybe you haven't met the Lord yet, or you're not there yet, but that the message of loving yourself healthy, again, honoring those 4 kingdoms of health, your mind, your body, your spirit, your emotions, and that it doesn't have to be perfect. You just have to take the next right step. You just have to be active participant in the journey. No, there is no end zone. It's just a mile marker after a mile marker. And you have this opportunity in front of you today. Maybe just start with a 5-minute walk. Maybe start with a affirmation to yourself, even if you don't believe it yet, saying, I am strong. I am worthy. I am loved. I am a child of God. And just again, it starts on the inside. Love yourself healthy on the inside. It's a constant work in progress. Know that it's never going to be easy. It's never something you won't face resistance. But like I tell everybody in every class, and I believe that God feels this about each of us. He's written it all over. You're here on purpose, for a purpose. And when you're in tune with yourself, you're able to live out that purpose and shine your light even brighter. In your name we pray. Amen.
Oh man, that's just that I would say as a guy, that's more powerful than circus dirt right there. I mean, oh, so let's make now listen, before we get to kind of part 2, which you guys don't want to miss, is I want how do people get into your program?
Okay.
So let's do it right now. So, there's people going, how do I get in to Rachel's program?
All right. So I've always from day one, because again, I don't want anyone to feel forced. I want you to take action. We've always offered a free full week trial, no credit card, no thing to cancel. I hate that where you sign up for something and you forget to cancel it and then you've been charged. So if you go to our website, the word THEV fit as in Victor, FIT, studio.com, a form will pop up and you just fill that out. It's just your name, email, phone number. We'll get in touch with you. We'll set up your trial for the week. And actually, if you say when we contact you that you heard us on the Ed Show, I'll give you an extra bonus week. So you'll 2 weeks. We've got 70 live classes a week, starting at 3 a.m. because we've got East Coasters all the way till 8:30 at night. They're all 15 to 30-minute classes. And you are poured into. I have handpicked my trainer team. They're across the country. We're all different, but we all bring our own unique, amazing gifts to every class. We've got everything: cardio, strength, dancing, mobility, stretching. We've got 15-minute express classes. So come give it a try. I really believe. And again, I'm way beyond just like the fitness part of exercise, but I believe it's a keystone habit and foundation. Like you talked about, you wouldn't build a temple on quicksand. You wouldn't invest in building something. So I believe exercise is such a powerful keystone habit in all of our lives that, 10, 15, 20 minutes of it a day will have this ripple effect into every other area of your life. And those of you moms that have kids, I believe, and I started this, 2 of my kids were in diapers. I didn't even have my 3rd child yet. So I've changed many a diapers, teaching classes even. I always joke now, even this will be funny, all of my kids can wipe their butts now. We're out of the phase of like having to run to the bathroom. But it really is one of the best blessings you can give your kids is they are watching what you do. They're watching how you speak to yourself. Be very mindful what you say about yourself around your kids if you happen to be commenting on your body image and your weight and how you feel. And it's one thing if you feel that way, you got to do the work there, but you do not need there's nothing your kids want more than a strong and healthy mom and grandparents. We have a huge team grandma. I mean, I feel like I need a new superhero name for them. They are like probably our second biggest group of members. And so there is no age limit. We've got members up into their 80s. I said, I can't wait till we celebrate our first member's 99th birthday. That will come at some point. But yeah, you got to just do it. Doesn't have to be perfect. And again, now it's more normalized. But I mean, my kids will be running in and out. It's one of the best things they can see. I teach in the mornings and my dog's back here right now, but my kids, most of my little one now will sit on this couch and just watch my screen. And I always tell everyone she's watching the most real life superhero show she can watch of a bunch of women across the country. And we're having fun. Like you need to enjoy the process. You're not punishing yourself. Like this is empowering your day. We have so many teachers, nurses, healthcare workers who are out in the world doing really big work. grandparents, parents. I mean, I believe everybody's out there doing important work, even making someone smile at the grocery store. And so I call it the ripple effect. Like, I would rather come and give you a great mental, physical, emotional boost, and then you go out and teach my kids at school, or you go out and do what
Yeah, there we
you're
go.
good at. So
So
yeah,
anyway,
come join
guys,
us.
join them.
And then we put a lot of content on Facebook and Instagram, not as much as if you're part of our community. We have a lot of different programs. We're having a fun game in March for members. It's kind of like a bingo. We try to keep it really fresh and fun. We've got a really interactive community. And then we've got specialty program that we offer for different areas.
Sounds like the next NFL football player needs to join your studio there.
Ed, you'd be a great. Well, you brought something else up about being an athlete, which is a lot of people were athletes. I'm watching my kids. Sports are a huge part of our life. In fact, I've gone from the baby diaper nap down at home to we're never home because we're traveling for sports all the time. And I think it's amazing. And you talked about this a lot in your book and when I've heard you speak, but like, we can get tied to our identity being that athlete or that sport. And that's something I'm so grateful that I've really tried to empower my kids. Like, that is not your end all be all, and to love. I teach PE at my kids' school, and I also run a program for young girls 10 to 16 called Shine Stronger. And it's just to encourage kids also to learn to love movement and physical activity beyond sports, so that they hopefully keep that the rest of their life and not lose it. There's a lot of us, after you're an athlete, you kind of, what's next?
That's so good. Okay. That was just chapter 1. I mean, that was just, and by the way, you got to write that book.
Right. That book.
This is a book.
I know.
Love Yourself Stronger.
Ooh, is that the title? Love Yourself Stronger. Okay. It's on my bucket list to write a book.
And then offline, I'll teach you how to do it in 2 days.
2 days. I was thinking, I'm reading a book, Catching Whimsy, which I think a lot of people are reading. And it's one daily, 1-page devotional. I'm like, I think that's a good way to write a book. I'm all about like small nuggets of goodness. So maybe I figure out a way to do 365.
We'll talk more about that. Yeah, I wrote The Difference a Father Makes in 2 days. And now it's in 231 countries. And 700,000 copies have gone out digitally. So God is good. And if you got a man, this would be a great step for him. Okay, now we're going to pivot. And I want to talk to you about what happened when this book showed up in your marriage, in your life. Tell me about it. Yeah, I'm going to pass it to you. There we go.
Yeah, all right. That's right. My husband's out with the kids at lunch. He just texted me, took him after skiing. Okay, so like probably I would think many people, and maybe it's not talked about as much, we kind of had to learn, but marriage is challenging, and it can be very, especially my husband and I got married at a young age. We had met in college. We did not have God as our rock and foundation for the first, 10, 12 years of our marriage. And having 3 kids, he runs a business, I run a business. I think it happens little by little. It's easy to just kind of start going on. I gave the best analogy that I know we had the same dreams and hopes and wishes, but we were like driving the car on our own and we're taking all the wrong side roads and getting flat tires. And I think the whole time God's like, I'm right here. I could really make this easier, but we weren't there to obey yet. And so long story short, we end up in this amazing community in Crowley Lake, California, started our daughter and my oldest in kindergarten at this church and at the church school, and became part of this amazing community and just Church on the Mountain. Yes. And just little by little found our way to the Lord in our own unique way and in our, raising our kids this way. But it was at a time where we were having a pretty rough patch in our marriage. I mean, we were like, something's got to change. Like this is hard and we're not bringing out the best in each other. And it's affecting the atmosphere in our house and how we're raising our kids. And it was just not good. And so, we committed to starting to do the work and to, lean on God, and we got counseling, and we got that's Emmy's or Kinley said, that's the same guy. That's
Hi,
Ed.
Emmy.
Remember Ed?
Good to see you, beautiful.
But so anyway, we were at church one day, and your book was on we have a book like shelf at church that you can pick up books and take. And my husband grabbed this book and started reading it. And I won't go over all his, but it is marked up. And Brian read this probably, when did he pick this book up? Probably in 2021-ish, 2021, 2022. And just started reading this book. And I started to notice and I'd hear him, because we journal, and one of our good foundations is we wake up and we journal together. We don't really talk, but we sit next to each other and we journal and we read our devotional. And I would just hear him go, ooh, or like make some sounds as he was reading this book. And he ended up reading this book a couple times, because I believe this too. When we're growing and getting deeper and rising up, you hear things different. It comes to you differently each time you come through it. But then it was last summer at, or I forget when, Pastor Mike announced that you were coming. And I didn't really put two and two together. Like and Brian in church was like, Ed's coming to our church. And I was like, okay, yeah. And so we made sure we were in town. It was right before the 4th of July. And you came, I think you ended up staying for 3 weeks, but and this is such a God, like, intricacy, so fun. You stood up there in church and said, I'm on the carnivore diet, and your amazing wife, Jill, and my husband, his brain goes to, I'm a hunter. I have a freezer full of fresh meat. I'm inviting them over. So he went and talked to you after church that day. And it was so great, because we ended up having your whole family, your assistant, you all came over for the 4th of July. Kinley remembers. I think we ended up having you 3 or 4 times over the time you were. And as Kinley's saying, and then another beautiful blessing, my cousin and her husband were celebrating their 1-year wedding anniversary, and you had dinner with us and got to mentor into them. And it's just so cool. So yeah, it's amazing what a book, that's why I say, I think song, books, interactions, like, speak to you in a way that it's not by coincidence.
So what are some things that you saw your husband learning that really helped you? And
I think you. No, Kinley, it's not going to be on there. It is. I think it was like what I speak about to our community and team, but it's about receiving the love, loving yourself. And for you, what really was good for my husband, and he has amazing parents, and I love his family, but I think there was a point where maybe he didn't know the love of the Father, that he was truly loved, and there were some deeper wounds that I think we all have that he needed to heal on his own. And it wasn't from something that I could do for him. And it wasn't from a place that anybody but, his spirit. And I think it just, there's so many, I don't want to go through his notes, but the biggest thing I can say that I think through the whole experience for both of us, but especially my husband, was finding that spiritual connection. I think so many people are missing that, and we won't go down that route of like why people, with religion and other things. And that's what I had a hard time growing up with, like not understanding. But I think once you find that, I saw the spirit, I saw him connect to spirit, which changed who he was and how he led our family, and would pray over us, and just start to see the kids each as their own individual spirits and build a relationship with them. So I think there was just so many different just awakenings of just surrender, receiving love, all the things that we all need. And it inspired me too to go into that deeper too.
Yeah, we when we leave our parents' home and get married, most people think, well, I got to build my own life. But we carry the fathering story. I'm used to having grandkids around me making noise all the time. It's okay. It's good. It's awesome. I've totally adopted them as my grandchildren too. Okay, just need to know. So, so what happens is we start out in our relationship, even if we make promises, I'm not going to do what my dad did, or I'm not. We end up making the same mistakes because it's something we've witnessed. It's in us, and the only way that we can get unhooked from that is that we need a new father. And that's what that book's about. It's learning how to receive from God the Father the way Jesus did. I mean, Jesus actually, the premise of the book is in John 5, 17 to 19. Jesus said, the Son of Man, talking about himself, can do nothing on his own, but he can only do what he sees his Father doing. For the Father loves the Son and shows him everything that he's doing. And I remember reading that years ago and going, Lord, I need this for me, because I never got to walk with my dad. My dad was killed in action. I never got to see the way he would love mom. My stepfather really wasn't good at loving my mother, and their marriage, didn't make it. And so I don't know how to love a girl. And I had to bring that to him and say, look, I don't know how to love Jill, because she wants all this affection all the time. And I would go up to her and go, I put my hand out and give her a little pat, and she goes, I'm not a Labrador. It's like, I had no clue. I had the training of an NFL football player. I knew how to hold, I knew how to hold and not get a flag against me and block and do all those things that I was doing as a man, but I didn't know how to do the primary thing that every daughter needs and every son needs, and that's to learn how to receive. Just what you talk about. And by the way, it is the most powerful way that you can love yourself whole. And that is to let God's love shower you, and it renames you. It there's a great scripture in Psalms that even though your land might be called desolate, in me, you will be called Beulah, beautiful. He changes the desert into this beautiful stream, this beautiful orchard. And God does the same thing today. And the more you can receive that, the more impact. And my coaching program that we just launched, and it's called the Fatherhood Academy, is around this. This is our first online course that we're taking guys through and teaching them the how-tos of just finding out who God's called them to be and what to do. It's a great thing for your husband or your sons. I have a lot of young sons that are in a program and learn what to do. Because in most guys, and you know this about your man, when he's listening to a sermon, he's listening not necessarily for the spiritual awakening. He's going, okay, what do I do? And I remember years ago preaching a sermon in my church, and and getting ready to call people to come forward and receive and et cetera. And I'm sitting there and I'm praying as I'm preaching, Lord, how can I reach my guys? Because I got a bunch of guys doing this. They're sort of like looking down at their watch, wondering, how long is this guy gonna go? And I remember that day, and I went, okay, guys. Every man look at me, and they all look at me and goes, so how do you get the heart of your teenage daughter back when she just flipped you off and called you the Antichrist? I watched in my church every man do this. They all leaned up, opened their Bibles, they were taking notes, and I went, there it is. When men feel seen and supported and coached, they become amazing men. So if you're a gal watching and your husband needs some help, because there's one thing, because I want you to speak to this too. We have a tremendous program to help them. But it's really hard for them to receive from their wife by the way they do it. So let me ask you this. Can you mother your man to be a better man?
I don't believe so. I was going to say too. I know
from a woman. Yes,
and this is why I think this goes so wonderfully together, because also, like, I, in some ways, was the leader in that spiritual journey of having coaches and getting mentors and diving into that. And it wasn't that I ever was like, Brian, you need to do this. You should do this. If you don't do this, we're not. It was just, I think you can pray for each other, depending on what your situation is. Again, bring it up to a higher power than just yourself, because I do think we try to, again, change the other person or mother the other person. Or I think as women, you could be incredible, kind of that spark that gets your husband to do a program like yours or mentor with someone like you. Luckily, it's becoming a little bit more common for men to get coaching, but I still think there's a little bit of like pride and ego sometimes in being vulnerable and receiving. And
Yeah.
I mean, let me tell you, I could sit here and talk about all this forever, and I believe it and I live it and it's my life mission, but receive is one of my words this year. Like, I still struggle with it. I still have to work at it all the time. And so Brian has really become a leader in our family in, balancing those strengths. And I'm so glad he, and it really, that book was such a pivotal part, but having someone like you, has been an amazing mentor too. And I think, you can't mother or change somebody. I think that's where so much of the problems become.
Yeah, I learned two things that are really powerful for gals that I teach gals when I'm coaching families. Number one, don't try to manage his mistakes. Pay attention to his wins and celebrate them. Because a man will run away from his wife if he feels like she's being fixed. Because a lot of guys come from families where moms never let them become men. Oh, my mom would say, he's my little boy. He's my firstborn. No, I'm not. I'm a man. And so part of it is that you find the wins and you celebrate them. Because if you move into the role of trying to be a mom, your husband does not want to sleep with his mother. Think about that image, gals. I met a lot of girls whose heads spun around their body. They don't. They don't. They want to know that you like something about them. But what if he doesn't have anything good? Look for a little win. Because, see, the power of our tongues can either bring life to the person we love, or we can cut them down. I mean, it doesn't really take a spiritual gift to point out sin in somebody's life. The devil, by the way, is a master at it. He's even called the accuser of the brethren. But I'm hurt, and he's not loving me the way I need to be loved. Well, this is where you love yourself to a whole new place by speaking life into your husband before he blooms. He might be in winter right now. And, that's one of the most powerful things. And the other thing is the door to get to the place where you do that is, and I want you to speak to this as well, is you've got to be willing to pre-forgive him before he asks for forgiveness a lot.
Yeah. Ooh, that's also, I'm like getting my own coaching from, I mean, I think, God puts us in relationships to mirror and challenge each other. And at some point too, especially when you're going through seasons of life from being young, the goal is to grow together and to have common values and goals and beliefs. And, wait, what was the exact question again? You got me so intrigued on that. What?
I have to don't be his mom. Okay, I'm sorry.
Don't be. No, I'm not. Forgive before.
You got to pre-forgive because I learned one thing about forgiveness. I had a gal the other day goes, I can't forgive my husband. You can't. Did you know that Jesus already pre-forgave him? I go, what do you mean? When he died on the cross, there is capacity for forgiveness to come to your man. And when he learns to receive it from Jesus, he's forgiven. So in the same way, in the Lord's Prayer, as we forgive those who trespass against us. That's right in the Lord's Prayer. And so we need to have this heart that when offense comes, we immediately forgive. It doesn't give permission to their wrong, but it moves us from the place where bitterness can own our heart.
Well, and I don't know if this will take a different spin. I think that's so powerful, and I think I've learned in our journey, um, you know, most people, especially in a God-centered marriage or everybody, you're not trying to hurt each other. You're not doing things to the other person because you're like, I want to make my spouse miserable. It usually comes down to misunderstanding or perception. You're stopping to celebrate the wins and to build each other up. But I found, and I don't know if this will help any women out there, I think when you get to a point where you're kind of in a tough place, like you've both probably hurt each other without meaning to do so. And for me, it was also talking about that forgiveness, like forgiving myself too is
Yes.
help, because maybe I did things that I didn't want to do or let things happen that I didn't fully feel aligned with, or how did it get like, so a big piece of the healing for me, just to share also, was like, of course, extend forgiveness. And I do believe you really have to forgive, but to also forgive myself that like we were doing the best we could with what we had. And that for me, because I found that was a big block too, is like just both being like, this is where we're moving forward with God and
Yeah.
our
See,
chain.
I meet girls who come from a lot of times relationships where they feel invisible by their dad, or they fed really bad boys in their stories that took advantage of them. And so they get married with this hope that this man will become the healing that I need. And so I'm going to work on him so he becomes a safe space. And when you do that, it destroys that relationship, because Jesus has got to be our safe space, right? And we understand. And what I love is the hope that was in that statement you made, where you realize that at this point in our marriage, man, we're doing the best that we know at this time. Because generally speaking, I've yet to meet a spouse who might be snarky at times, but they're not trying to crush the other person and destroy their life. And yet the devil, when he's accusing us or he's amplifying that hurt and getting you to try to quit or leave the marriage, is he kind of demonizes your man. And the next thing you know, well, he's not a safe base. And this is what's happening with grandparents, by the way, is that this modern psychology that's really broken and not biblical is now they're creating safe spaces around themselves, and they don't like being around their Christian parents because their Christian parents are trying to convince them not to live that lifestyle. So they're no longer safe, and I'm going to cut them out of my family story. And as a result, around our country right now, we got a huge swath of grandparents who can't even see their grandkids because their children, because of bitterness, have just cut them off. And they think that's healthy. I need a time away from my dad right now. I need a safe space. The problem is, Jesus says, man, we need to love them. We need to reconcile quickly so bitterness doesn't own us or it destroys our families.
Yeah. No, we could go into this forever, but I think too, when, turning it over and just, again, accepting you did the best with what you have. And when you know better, you do better, right? And so there is no going back. And I think too, when you start to especially receive that love from God and connect with spirit, and you don't feel like you need to get it from somebody else. I think that's a lot of times too, we think, our partner is responsible for things that are not in their control or ability.
Yeah.
Then that angerness, resentment, and then you start seeing every little thing they do that they're chewing too, it could go down a dark hole pretty fast. So, I think, and it all comes back to like, we all have to do a lot of that deep inner work ourselves and then bring it, they say, I love that image of a cord of 3 is so much stronger
It's
than,
not easily broken, right?
yeah. And so and I didn't grow up, my parents were divorced, I was only child. Um, we all have different stories how we grew up. We all have a past, again, believing your parents did the best that they could with what they have. But it's also like, if you truly trust faith in God and the bigger, he sees the whole picture from before you were created to wherever the eternity. It had to also come with this like understanding of like all of that hardship in our lives, like learning to own that made you who you are today. Like that actually
Right.
became your strength. And, so I think, yeah,
That's so
there's just so
good.
much, like, instead of like blaming your past or blaming your parents or blaming your partner, to be like, those were opportunities for me to become who I am today.
No, it's
And
so good. I mean, you're talking about Romans 8:28 and 29.
yeah, and
All
I was
things
gonna
work
say,
together for good
yes,
for those who love God and called according to his purpose. But then he talks about what the good is. There's no good about having your house burned down in Pacific Palisades. But for those he foreknew, verse 29, he is using basically everything that you go through to conform the image of Christ in you. And there's only one way that the fastest way we grow is when we suffer and we turn to God. Not when we
absolutely.
suffer and we blame someone else,
Yeah.
because
No,
there
and
is
I think,
no answer there. But when we go, Lord, this is too big for me, I give this to you. My husband's too crazy, I give this to you. My wife, I got bit by another estrogen monster last night, I give this to you.
well, you know what? That is so true. And I think, okay, we'll go. I don't know how much longer we're gonna go, but and then we flip from fitness and all that kind of stuff. But like I said, your mental and spiritual and emotional health is a huge part of your overall health. So if you're super fit and healthy and you're in a really toxic marriage or you're in a hard relationship, like that's going to affect your health and how you live your purpose.
Yeah.
But one of the things I think that your book, and just again the walk with the Lord and surrendering a lot, is like, my husband didn't feel like he had to fix me because I don't want to be fixed. That's one of my, like, that was like, I don't want to feel like something's wrong or there's a problem. Men like to fix things, like,
Yes,
and he
we
could fix
do.
the vacuum, he could fix but I don't want to be fixed. I will do like, so it kind of began this, and he was doing it out of a place of love. Now I know that, but sometimes you're like, so I think that was a big thing, is like, okay, I can't fix everything. I can't control all her, emotions and so I think that was another big thing, is like, all right, that that little bit of surrender and just pure
That's so good
authentic
for
love.
every guy who's gonna hear this, because the wife's gonna go, "Watch this. Watch this. This is too good. You gotta watch this," because we can't, because, I mean, we learned something new, and of course we want to disciple our wives. But Jill, my sweetheart, the only time I have open doors is when she'll say, "Would you help me with this?" But I've learned to go, "You really? What kind of help do you want?" If I just jump in and big at her, she feels crushed. And so I got to figure out. And by the way, that little coaching there is what I do with my children, because the best way to be a great mom or be a great dad to your kids is ask enough questions to know what permission you have to speak into their life. We think as parents, I have permission because I feed them, they live in my house, I keep them warm and healthy, so they're going to do what I say. Well, if they don't vote for that, then when they're not with you, not around church with you, they're going, yeah, yeah, yeah. They're doing their own private life. And so my whole job as a dad is to try to get permission. And I learned this it was Jesus.
Good
When he
teacher.
prayed for Bartimaeus in the Bible, he basically, here's a blind man who needs to be healed. You could see the crustiness on his face. And Jesus said, "What do you want me to do for you?" I mean, isn't it obvious? and because he was looking for his father working in Bartimaeus. And Bartimaeus said, I want to see. And he said, let it be done according to your faith. See, he was healed. And that little mini thing, it's a whole podcast maybe down the road, but it's the secret of our life as a follower of Jesus. If we learn to see what God's doing with our partners by asking questions and not giving advice, we're going to have so much more fun. And they're going to feel love. It has been such an honor to be with you. I mean, you're one of my favorite people. We don't get enough time together. Your man is a rock star. He's a hero. Just love that guy because he's a meat eater.
I think since you were here, he's gotten 2 more deer. So
I just happened to look in my freezer and I don't see any wild game there. I'm not sure the shipment hasn't arrived yet from.
I think you have to come visit. It's a pickup.
Yeah, I know. I know that, and I just don't see. I got 2 titanium knees, but
no. Come to our house. We'll give it to you. You got to come back to our church. Everyone loves having you up here.
Well, listen. Why don't we close this? Would you pray for those that are watching right now, and then we're gonna close this with you doing another little commercial for your VFit studio, so that people will sign up. You might not miss it. It's right in the middle of the video if you came on late, but you do not want to miss this. And I'm going to share the link with my wife. She'll love it. And you might see me there.
I would love to have Jill, and you can be back on. And just on a quick side note, I have also began a kind of a mentorship fellowship program called Rise, and it's an ongoing coaching collective. So if you're not looking for the actual just fitness, that side of VFit, there is some deeper kind of mentorship coaching that I've begun doing. That's been incredible. So, all right, let's bow our heads, get comfortable. Dear Lord, thank you for today. Thank you for filling all of our minds, our bodies, our spirits. We laughed, we got deep, we were real and authentic. And I just, I pray every day, just let me be your vessel. Let me have the eyes to see, the ears to hear, and the heart to feel what you've put in front of me. I'm just so grateful for this opportunity to connect with Ed and your entire community and your beautiful wife and family, and just to know we're all on the same mission, and that everybody listening today, whether it all spoke to your heart or maybe just one nugget was planted, one seed was planted, that you take that seed and you don't just try to unearth it to find out what's growing, but that you nurture it. You water it, you give it sunshine, you feed it the food to grow. And God really does work in amazing, amazing ways. You've just got to be that open vessel to see what is put in front of you. I pray that everybody listening today has a different perspective on their health, and that your health really, really is your greatest wealth. Without it, nothing else really matters. And to live for your family, to live for your loved ones, to be that source of strength and power and spirit, and that it starts within you. You're the only one that can do that work. You're the only one that can show up, and then you partner with God, and you will be unstoppable. And so I just thank everyone who is still listening or who is listening to this recording. May you find just a little more love for yourself, a little more light let in, that you can do what you're meant to do here, which is to be the light and to live on purpose. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much. So make sure you go. Icy's going to go to VFit Studio if you want to connect with her. Matter of fact, I'll bring it up. Boom, right there. You can go there, and she is going to give you, by watching this show, or in the future, she's going to give you a 2-week trial. You don't even need your credit card. And to go in and check her out. She is a rock star, and just love being with her. And you're probably going to see me in there too. So we're so grateful. But I come with ministry attached all the time, everywhere. I go.
You have a gift with that.
Well, God is good. God is good. So thank you for being here. And we're going to we have a little outtake. Just keep hanging on a little bit longer after the little outtake video. I want to connect with you, and we'll see about how we can do this. You got a little bit of time after we turn off the recording?
Sure.
Okay, great. Okay,
Thank
all
you.
that to say, thank you for being here today at the difference a mom makes. And who would have thought an NFL football player would have anything to say to moms? Well, if God can change me, he can change your husband, even your birth father. There's hope in the world because of what God's done in me. So anyway, can't wait to be with you next week. We're on Thursdays every week at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And it's the go live. And all that to say, thanks for being with us. We're praying for you. You want to sign up, you can get a free book. Go to my website at thefatherdifference.com. Got all of our resources. And we'll love to connect with you. So God bless you.
Dear friends, imagine a world where every father feels equipped to lead with faith, love, and purpose. A world where families thrive and communities grow stronger because of devoted, Christ-centered fathers.
You know, beloved, that is the vision that God's put in my heart for every single family. You know, he is on the move, I believe. He promises in Malachi that before the great and coming day of the Lord, he's going to do something profound. He's going to turn the hearts of fathers back towards their children, so the hearts of their children will turn back to their father. That's what God is doing. I meet dads daily who want to learn to be better fathers, yet many have never been shown how. Too many families are being fractured through bitterness, and with parents and grandparents even being canceled. That's why we're launching an online community to equip men to be the fathers that God has called them to be. It's more than a program. It's a part of a movement that God is already doing to reshape fatherhood as a sacred calling rooted in the teachings of Christ. And we're calling this the Fatherhood Academy, where men will embark on a journey of healing and spiritual restoration that helps them transform their family relationship. And to make this vision a reality, would you consider partnering with us financially as we continue to reach and disciple every man, dad, and grandpa that comes our way? Your donation will help create a ripple across the neighborhoods, communities, and ultimately our nation, anchoring each child, here's the vision, in the unwavering love and guidance of a devoted dad.
Will you partner with us? Your gift, whether a one-time donation or ongoing monthly support, will help to transform lives. Together, we can equip fathers and grandfathers to lead with faith and create a brighter, hope-filled future for generations to come. Click the link to donate today. Thank you for believing in this mission and joining us on this transformative journey.